I'd like to welcome you guys to the So Do You Dig. I'm your host of the evening, DJ Just J from Just Dimes ENT. And what we're here to do is we're here to call out some things that we feel like are a little bit improper in the black community because, as you can see from my skin tone hue, I'm a black man. So I'm very concerned about things that go on with the black community. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, and I talk to my brother Kurt Dog a whole lot, and I talk to my baby about a lot of times, is the fact that there are a lot of times when I get emails or messages and people will ask me like, well, why don't you do stories about the white community or the Asian community or other communities and stuff like that? And my answer in response to that, so everybody will kind of understand where we're coming from, is I'm not familiar with those communities. I don't really know what their history is, their background, how they get down or anything like that. So it'd be kind of hard for me to speak on a culture that I don't understand. But I've been, black in the community for my entire life, for 30 plus years, you know what I'm saying? So that's a community that I understand. I understand our mindset. I understand our people's mentality and stuff like that. So I feel like that's where I'm best qualified to be able to speak my expertise. So for everybody that hears that, I hope you guys understand. So we have about 172 people watching. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up. That will share the show and let everybody know that we are ready to get the show started. Because a lot of people are wondering, who is this person on my screen? What did she do? And why am I calling it out? The reason for that is because what we do here at the So Do You Dig is we are advocates for children first. Advocates for children first. Then we are concerned about mothers. Then we are concerned about fathers. But more than anything, we want to make sure that we talk about some things that I would hope that our sisters will talk to their sisters, and hopefully we can get them to correct it. Because what it takes is because women are natural followers. Women are followers. So what that means is that if you have men that are supposed to be leading the community, then what you need to have happen is you need to talk to the leaders of the women, and then those leaders of the women need to disseminate the information down to their peers. Then that's when the change starts. All right. So hopefully everybody understands where I'm coming from with that. So what you have going on here is a young lady out of Texas, out of Houston, Texas. And the reason I'm specifically calling her out is because it's out of my home state, not my original home state, but this is where I live. Right now, I live in the state of Texas. So, as much as I talk about other people's states, you're damn right. I'm going to be fair and I'm going to talk about where I'm from, especially when I see something bad happen in my state. Her name is Kerry, Kerri, Rochelle, Rochelle, Green, Green. She is age 22 and she faces 2 counts of child abandonment after her former apartment manager found her 9-month-old and her 2-year-old alone in a hot, trash-filled Houston apartment, which is what police say, and that comes from the Houston Police Department. Now, it's titled as Mom Ditched Her Baby, her toddler, in a hot, trash-filled apartment after an eviction, is what Texas cops say. Now, for the people that have not been to Houston, Houston is a very busy area. It's a very large area. It's a very flat and wide, land space. It's weird, and for the people that are familiar with when it flooded out there, the reason for that is because it's so flat. You don't have any, really any valleys or any hills or anything like that. Everything is just straight up flat. So, it's very easy for it to flood out there. But nonetheless, it's a very populated community. It's definitely, a city that has its share of issues, especially like with carjackings. That's stuff that we've talked about before. Let me see. She looks like she's 16 years old. Hey, I don't know. But it says that she's 22 years old. So now, Kerri Rochelle Green was evicted from her Houston apartment in March. So that was recent. What did he say? Let's see. Thank you very much, Jay McLovin. She was evicted from her apartment in March. Weeks later, on April 23rd, a manager at the complex made a horrifying discovery when she went into her old unit to make sure it was empty because she had evicted her. She sent out an eviction notice. And of course, they have to go check to make sure that that person is left. Now, Green's 2 young children had apparently been left inside the hot, trash-filled apartment, according to KPRC. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read a different story here coming up so that way we can get both sides of what's actually going on. Now, according to court documents, she was evicted in March. Last week, when her apartment manager checked to make sure that the apartment was vacant, she told police she found 2 children in the same crib. So, a toddler and a 2-year-old in the same crib. Now, one child was a 10-month-old girl who was covered in vomit and dry mucus. So, I hope you guys are not eating right now. Hey, what's up, Chucky? How you doing, bro? Appreciate you checking out the show, man. So, she was covered, the 10-month-old girl was covered in vomit and dry mucus. The other was a 2-year-old boy who was, and they quote, he was not responsive to voices or touch. This is how long she left those kids there. The 2-year-old boy, the older boy, the boy that should physically, his body should have more strength, was not responsive to voices or touch. And I don't know if that's because of the way that he was born, or if that was because of what this leaving him in this hot apartment has caused. But they said that he was malnourished and he was staring into space. And that's scary. What's up, Michelle? How you doing? That's scary. He was malnourished, wasn't responding to voices or touch, and he was just staring into space. I mean, that's that could mean a lot of things. First and foremost, it could mean that because of what the mother did and left him there, it could have caused that. Or he could have been born that way. Or the heat could have possibly have caused that to happen temporarily. Like when it starts cooking your brain, which is why your body sweats, which is why your body tries to give off heat. And you start sweating and it opens up your pores and stuff like that. So for a child to be such a small body person and for their body not to be developed to be able to handle extreme, weather conditions, it will break their bodies down quickly and kill them. So he very well could have ended up like having a seizure or anything like that. Now he appeared to also be about the same size as the much younger baby girl, which is a whole nother problem in itself. Now, in court records, the officer noted that in the 2 hours police were on the scene, Green never returned. So while the police officers were checking out this apartment for 2 hours, for the 2 hours that they were there, they never saw the mom. That's also just a disgusting thing. Now, one of the neighbors quoted this, which is crazy. You guys will actually see this video. They said, she's a monster. She's a monster. She doesn't deserve to have kids, which is her neighbor, Anna Lopez, told KTRK. The children were taken to the hospital. A spokeswoman with Child Protective Services confirms they are in foster care and doing much better. So the children are alive and they're doing much better. She could not say whether Green has tried to contact them. So I'm assuming there must be some laws in there about, some type of confidentiality or whatever the case is. What's up, Run Tell That? What's up, J Hood? It said Houston is littered with trash like this. I'm not that familiar with the people of Houston. I just know a couple of people out there. So, yeah. They say neighbors are grateful that the manager found the children in time. It's just very sad, said Berta. Sustainta. It's just very sad. Berta Sustainta, who's another neighbor, that's what she said. If you know where Green's whereabouts are, you're urged to call the Houston police. But guess what? There's no need to call Houston police because they do have her in custody, this is part of the update. Now, the responding officer reported that the apartment's floor was covered with trash and debris, and that that the walls had holes in them. It was 80 degrees outside, but the temperature inside the apartment felt like it was a lot hotter than that. And in the back room, they found the little boy and the little girl in the crib, and they were wrapped in blankets and didn't have any food or any water. Hashtag, where is the father in this story? I want you guys to ask that question. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. Though the children were about the same size, authorities learned later that that there were a 2-year-old boy and a 9-month-old girl. We already talked about that. The boy, who appeared to be malnourished, was staring into space and didn't respond to officers' voice or touch, they wrote in the report. Okay, we've already got that part. Let's see. This thing moves a little bit slow. My apologies. Let me see. The officer attempted to call Green and waited at the apartment for 2 hours, but she didn't answer or return the phone call, according to the complaint. The children were, so I'm assuming how they got her phone number was probably because the office probably had the phone number. So they called her and she didn't pick up. So the children were taken to a hospital for treatment, and it was unclear how long they had been alone in the apartment. And that's another scary thing about it. So police obtained an arrest warrant for Green last week and apprehended her on Tuesday afternoon, court records show. So that was very recent. Let me see. What else are we missing here? Got that part. They say that the baby's face, the little girl's face, was caked in vomit and dry mucus, and her brother was initially unresponsive. Okay, we got that part. Let's see. Okay, here we go. It's not clear when Green actually left the apartment after the eviction notice on March 23rd, but her children, who were taken to an area hospital, are recovering in foster care. Now, this is the part where I want you guys to pay attention. Child Protective Services, CPS, officials told KPRC that they had a history with Green, but wouldn't go into details. What's up, Chorus 15? She knew she was getting evicted. Exactly, Quick and Dude. She had more than plenty of notice. She knew she was being evicted. Now, why she would have left the children there is beyond me. I don't really understand the nature, the thought behind that, but, you know, that's part of why we're doing this particular story. Now, they said that they had a history with her. Now, I'm wondering if you can't tell about the history that CPS has, and you can't tell that to the news. You can tell them that she has a history, but you can't tell them what the history is. Then my next question would have to be, why would you even bring it up? Does anybody follow me on that? Brother Lynch, I'm sorry about that, bro. Do me a favor and shoot me an email at thesodiadig@gmail.com if you would, and I will make sure and add you in our group so I can send you out an email to let you know when the show is going live. So that's part of how we've been able to fix this, guys. I'm sorry that you guys aren't getting the notifications, but if you would, what's up, Canadian Baconator? How are you? So shoot me an email to everybody that wants to get the live notifications when the show goes live. Shoot me an email and say, hey, add me, and I'll add you to the email list. And that'll help out a little bit until they can get that fixed. So I don't understand why they would bring it up, but they won't give any details. Now, she was arrested on Tuesday, and she makes her first court appearance on Wednesday, which is the very next day that she was arrested, where she was formally charged with 2 counts of child abandonment without intent to return, according to Harris County Jail records. Did you guys catch what I heard? Do you think that's the correct thing that she should have been charged with? To the people in the chat, we got about 260 people watching. Hit the thumbs up for me. For the people that are watching, I want you guys to answer that question for me. Was she charged with the right thing? 2 counts of child abandonment without intent to return. Thank you, Rochelle, for posting the email out there. I've never even heard of a charge like that. Because it's almost kind of like they're trying to specify it. Like, why does that need any specification? Child abandonment is child abandonment, period. I think it should be attempted murder for damn sure. Child neglect, attempted murder, neglect, endangerment, all of that. Absolutely. She should have about 6 or 7 charges. It does sound weak. Thank you. Kerri said, thank you, Kerri. Kerri said it. She said a man would have gotten attempted murder. And I mean, honestly, guys, she's absolutely right. Like I say, we're not here to say that this is a man versus woman thing, but we're talking about simply right and wrong. All right? And the right and wrong thing about this is the fact that if it were a man would have been charged with attempted murder. And that's just the fact. So, based on what I found, I looked up some information, and I'm going to tell you guys about what this entails. Let me see. Child abandonment or endangerment charges in Texas. Let me see if I can specifically look that up without intent to return. Let's see, control find. Okay, here we go. Penalties for abandoning or endangering a child in Texas or in certain cities in Texas. But we're gonna give you a general synopsis of this. So understand this might not be 100% accurate information. So just look it up yourself. It says child abandonment or endangerment is a felony offense in Texas. The statutory maximum punishment for a conviction on this charge depends on specific circumstances of the alleged offense. Hashtag, where's the father? Thank you, Sandra. Alleged offenders could face the following range of sentences. Range number 1. If an alleged offender with custody, care, or control of a child younger than age 15 intentionally abandons the child in a place under circumstances that expose the child to an unreasonable risk of harm with intent to return for the child, or intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or with criminal negligence by act or omission, engages in conduct that places a child younger than 15 years of age in imminent danger of death, bodily injury, or physical mental impairment, which is what it sounds like that she did, is a state jail felony punishable by a fine of up to $10,000 and or up to 2 years in jail. Hashtag where's Roger? Thank you, Rochelle, that. Now, there was something in here that that it didn't fall underneath. I was trying to find it. Let me see. Well, that's exactly what she did. I just looked at it again. That's exactly what she did. But this is the problem. Chorus asks how much time. It says it is a state jail felony punishable by a fine up to $10,000 and or up to 2 years in jail. Two years. And it says if that person engages in conduct that places a child younger than age 15 in imminent danger of death, bodily injury, or physical or mental impairment. First of all, in danger of death, if you put anybody in danger of death, that should be attempted murder. Bodily injury, that's definitely, what is it? Child endangerment. Physical impairment, that should definitely be something that gets you 10 to 20 years easy. Because you can never recover from a physical or mental impairment. She'll get the minimum. And it said up to. Guys, got to pay attention to the wording. It says a fine of up to $10,000 and or up to 2 years in jail. And or. Meaning she could get a fine and jail time, or she could just get a fine, or she could just get jail, or she could literally pay little to nothing when it comes to them deciding how much of the $10,000, which is the maximum that she could be charged, or they can decide how much time that she'll get on the jail side, whether it's either going to be 2 years or less. What's up, Kev504? What up, guys? And Georgia Boy said, and or imprisonment equals she won't get time. Tony said, she's going to get off. Claims postpartum. Okay, I'm gonna point something out to you guys. Tony is absolutely right, and this is the thing, because that's just the law. And I tell you guys, when I tell you guys that we have to have more accountability in the black community, and that our sisters, based on what Barack Obama said, are the backbone of the black community, and they could literally get off scot-free for almost killing their 2 kids, physically or mentally, permanently impairing their children to have mental damage, mental issues, and she could potentially just walk away from it. But guys, have you guys ever heard of a man that's been able to walk away from putting his kids in danger or putting a woman's life in danger? What they're going to do, because I actually looked at some of the posts that people were posting on Facebook, and there were actually people out there, and I wish people would stop doing this. There were actually people out there that posted on Facebook and publicly said, I hope she gets the help that she needs. They said they hope that she gets the help that she needs. So if you're a person of sound mind and body, that you can go out and go have sex with any man that you want, because it's your body, it's your choice. You can choose to let any man into your body. You can choose whether you want to have that baby or not. You chose not once, but you chose twice to have that kid. You carried those kids, both of those kids, for 9 months apiece, give or take. Have those kids, understanding after the first one how hard it was, that if you couldn't provide for yourself, if you're getting evicted, then that means you probably were already financially irresponsible. And then you turn around and have another kid right after that. And now you're even more irresponsible financially. I'm trying to think about what I'm saying before I say it, because I don't want to get flagged and I don't want to get in trouble. And I don't want to jack up y'all's sensibilities. But this is some bullshit. It really is. Pardon my language. The boy could literally be brain dead behind what his mom did to him. He could just literally just be functioning, staring into space, not responding to touches or voices. Leaving him in that apartment like that could have cooked his brain. And you mean to tell me there is no punishment for that? Not only the fact that you left the house, what could you have left the house for? Left them there for that long, never came back to check on them, and then an officer stayed at your apartment for 2 hours calling your phone, and you didn't return a call, and you didn't even return in the 2 hours. And they had to issue an arrest warrant to go find you. And I would love to know, but I'm going to tell you guys this, because I don't have pictures of the kids. But I can almost guarantee you that those children have 2 different fathers. 2 different scenarios where one, if not both, of those fathers could have taken care of those children if given the opportunity. Agree or disagree? Let me ask you guys a real question. For the people that have children outside of wedlock and deal with a baby daddy, if you were to give that baby daddy an opportunity to take that kid off your hands, would they not take them off your hands? Give me my kids, I'm taking my kids. If you even hint to me to take my kids for a little while, temporarily or anything like that, I'm taking them. Shout out to my parents out there, mothers and fathers. If the man had the kids and couldn't take care of the kids, what mother wouldn't take them kids in? If the mother has custody and she can't take care of them kids, offer them up to the dad. What dad would not take those kids in? But I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of insight. The reason why a lot of those parents that are in these situations, like what Kerry Green did to her kids, is because she wanted to keep the benefits that she gets for those kids. Hello? Is this thing working? I'm going to say that again. The reason why Kerry Green did not give up custody of those kids to the kids' fathers, because I'm going to call it out, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say she got two different baby daddies. She didn't give either one of them an opportunity to take either one of those kids in or both of those kids in because she wanted to keep her state benefits. Hashtag babies for benefits. Hashtag welfare. Hashtag Title IV. Welfare. For a paycheck. For benefits. Why do we always say hashtag where's Roger? Because this is another situation where when I had my brother Roger on the panel, I said, bro, you have to see this going on around you. I could probably do 3 stories a day and not run out of stories. Jay McLovin will tell you. She sends me stories as well as 20, 30. I've got about maybe 50 or 60 emails that I've had to look at. And I'm like, I don't have time to do all these stories. I physically don't have time to do the stories. I literally had to get some sleep today, then wake up and then fix myself something to eat real quick and come in and do this story. I didn't have time. I don't have time to do all of the stories. And the fact that I know so many personal people, actually know them. I actually know people between Texas and Oklahoma and other states that are actually in these situations. So there are people that I personally know, not just stories that I've read. There are too many black people in the black community when you have 82% of your children outside of the confines of wedlock. It is impossible for you to not know that they are having babies outside of wedlock for a reason. What is that reason? It ain't because they love fucking children. That's not why. They're not having these children because they love them. They're not. So I'll use this scenario as an example. And I'll show you guys the video. I got 2 videos to show you. They're really quick. What about what this mother did and not being able to be reached and leaving those kids there and not coming back and not answering phone calls and being evicted from her apartment, having all of these opportunities for benefits? Most women that have children have opportunities for benefits. That's a fact. The majority of them. 90% or better, if I had to take a wild guess. Jay McLovin says, I also have a job and can't do 100 stories. I can't. There are just too many of them. Now, people wonder, like, why do we do these stories? Why do we talk about these people in such a disparaging way? The reason is because we don't have this thing called shame. There is no shame. There is no sense of responsibility in our community of people that look like my skin hue. We have no accountability for our sisters. Barack Obama said our sisters are the backbone of the black community. Where if you are our leaders, If you are our leaders, then we have to hold our leaders accountable. It's just like when I talk to you guys about voting. When we hold our voters and our constituents accountable, it's the same thing because they're the ones making the decisions in our what? Communities. They are leading our cities, and these women are leading our generation, our future of the black community down the freaking pipe, down the drain, into the freaking sewer. They are too prideful. And forget what the pro-blacks is talking about. You know, forget what these pharaohs and you know, and these brother Akmars and whoever the hell. Forget what they talking about. These sisters need to be uplifted. They need to be helped. How much more helping do you need to do? You give them food, you give them housing, you give them cars, you give them shelter, you give them electricity, you give them child support, you give them Medicare, you give them GoFundMe. And they have fathers at their disposal that they choose not to use. Umar Johnson's, oh, name them. Brother Akbar. I'm sorry. I'm making up names. But y'all understand what I'm saying. Brother Boyce Watkins said, it's just a sliver of the black community. Brother Boyce Watkins, it ain't a sliver, dog. I don't know what type of women you've been dealing with, but it ain't a sliver. I don't care if our community were in an upper echelon community. It's still going on. You see these rappers that making millions of dollars a year are still dealing with ratchet chicks that are having babies just to snatch $5,000-$10,000 a month from them. Hello. It is impossible for you to tell me that you don't see it when you see it on YouTube, when you see it on Instagram Live, when you see it on Facebook Live, when you see it on the news. Every city and every state has some ratchet shit going on. Why? I don't see it. I don't see it, brother. I don't know what kind of women you're around. What? Are you kidding me? You don't know what kind of women I'm around? What kind of people are you around if you don't see any of this nonsense going on? You don't even acknowledge it. You don't recognize it. And it's just like I told you guys before. Not talking about a problem or shutting somebody down that makes an argument to fix a problem does not fix the actual problem. You don't turn around and say, well, we're just going to stop Tommy from talking. We're going to stop Tommy from streaming. That's how you fix the problem. All while you still got kids in Chicago being shot every fucking weekend. You still have these women going out and tossing their legs up in the air and continuing to get pregnant with no regard for their bodies, knowing that the United States has a very high mortality rate. I'm going to say that again. The United States has one of the highest mortality rates for women giving birth. Just Jay, what does that mean? That means that there is a very, very high chance that a woman having a child will die in the United States of America with all of the technology that we have. She could die from giving birth. Think about that. We, even out of some of these third world countries, we have the highest mortality rate. My point about this is not only is it risky for a woman to have a kid, but why would you have a kid if you're going to need to depend on everybody else to raise that kid? In my opinion, the only person you should depend on is you and the person to help you create that kid. If you don't want that person to help you create that kid, to be in that kid's life, to be able to physically be there, not just financially be there. Y'all need to get that out your heads. Children need their parents, both of their parents. They need that balance. I haven't even showed you guys the story. I've been just talking. Sorry, I'm really, we got about 305 people watching. Hit the thumbs up for me. Here are the other two things that you could be potentially facing in Texas, in the state of Texas. Number 2, if an alleged offender with custody or care or control of a child younger than age 15 intentionally abandons the child in any place under circumstances that expose a child to an unreasonable risk of harm without intent to return for the child, is a third-degree felony, punishable by a fine up to $10,000 and or 5 years in prison. Up to 5 years in prison. It's a third-degree felony. I'm going to be right here. I'm just very, very passionate. Shout out to Jay McLovin. My baby knows I'm passionate, and I know it's definitely, you know, a test for us to have to, you know, to have these hard conversations. And I got to tell you guys, she's amazing. And she, you know, she's, you know, dealt with, you know, more than I thought she would have. I mean, such an amazing person and an amazing support system. And, you know, she inspires me to get up, you know, every day when I do these videos and try to bring some positive light to our community in ways that we can fix our community. You know, and having a support system is very, very, very vital. So when it comes to these children, that's why I believe that if you're not going to have the father in the kid's life, if you can't guarantee that father is going to be in that kid's life, which there aren't very many guarantees in life, then I ask, in 2018 and beyond, why are we having children? AP said the kids should sue their mom when they get older. Said I'm very level-headed. I appreciate that. I try my best to be. I try to be fair. So anything that I get my hands on, I try to be fair about it. This is the last potential thing that you could be charged with. This is one of the other sentences. If an alleged offender abandons a child under circumstances that a reasonable person would believe would place the child in imminent danger of death, bodily injury, or physical or mental impairment, it is a second-degree felony punishable by a fine up to $10,000 and up to 20 years in prison. That to me sounds a little bit closer to right. 20 years in prison, because I can guarantee you that these kids are going to have some difficulty, especially if that boy has some type of physical impairment behind this. So you guys can look that up. Go and Google search child abandonment without intent to return, and it'll bring up some things actually pertaining to the Texas Penal Code. So you guys can look that information up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a couple of videos, and I'm sorry that, can you start a podcast on iHeartRadio? That's a good question. I don't know. So let me ask you a question, Hambone. Do you think people would listen if I was on iHeartRadio? I don't know. You guys would have to tell me. I have no idea. Like, I'll pursue what you think I'd be most productive in. If I'm most productive here on YouTube, I'll stay here or whatever it is that I need to do. But, I mean, I appreciate you guys' support. But let me go ahead and get this fair usage up on the screen. And I'm going to read you guys the fair usage. Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. What's up, my brother? Classic young man in the building. Shout out to my brother. Cole said, I'm looking at the Texas Felony Crimes by Class. Okay, cool. Thank you. Your platform is growing. Thank you, True We Man. I definitely appreciate that, bro. It's about us. Everybody that's in the chat, 307 people in the chat. For the people that I can actually see that are chatting, this actually is proof of, you know, the fact that we actually are able to come in here and you can speak your mind, speak your real thoughts and feelings. We don't hardly block anybody here. People come in and they say certain things. If you talk about Tommy or something like that, you can't come in under a Tommy name or Tommy account. That automatically gets you blocked. But if you want to come in as yourself, be yourself and speak your real thoughts and feelings and stand on your word with your name, with your face, then you are allowed to be here and actually have a real conversation. That's all we want to encourage us to do. That's it. So let me go ahead and show you guys here this first video, and then we'll move on to the next one.
The mother charged with abandoning her 2 young children will stay behind bars for now. Kerri Green faced a judge today. The judge setting bond at $20,000 for each of the 2 charges. Green says she doesn't have the money to pay bond. During her appearance, we learned she's unemployed but studying to be a nurse at HCC. She was arrested this week after her 9-month-old and 2-year-old were found alone in the apartment where she was being evicted from.
If you guys didn't catch that, I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to let you guys hear it. I appreciate that, Hambone. Definitely appreciate that. I'll have to check into that. Here we go. Here's that news article again. Listen to this. What's up, Religion Wink TV? What's going on? Thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to let you guys know, if you like what I do here, if you like the show, if you like what we're talking about, then all I encourage you guys to do is hit the thumbs up. Yes, classy young man. Thank you. $20,000. That's it. For attempted murder, for attempted freaking murder, $20,000 for 2 innocent children. And she wants to be a nurse. Could you guys imagine if your grandmother or your father were in, you know, were in some type of care and this person were taking care of your people? Have you guys, look, because I studied the CNA program. I used to be a CNA for a little while. Not for very long, because I don't have the stomach for it. But shout out to my people that are in nursing, my CNAs, my you know, all my people out there, my CMAs, my RNs, LPNs, all of that stuff. Yes. Yes, a nurse that left her own 2 children in an apartment to die. Talking about that's what she's going to school for. She should not be allowed to finish school. She should be immediately kicked out of school and be kicked, and she should never ever be allowed to attend school again for life. Banned for life. Because she's already showing you what she's going to do for people in her care. So I'm gonna let you guys hear this again. 20 grand, classy young man, 20 grand.
The mother charged with abandoning her 2 young children will stay behind bars for now. Kerri Green faced a judge today. The judge setting bond at $20,000 for each of the 2 charges. Green says she doesn't have the money to pay bond. During her appearance, we learned she's unemployed but studying to be a nurse at HCC.
Okay, she's unemployed. So how was she able to stay in an apartment if she was unemployed? At all. Let alone the fact that she was evicted. But she probably was unemployed for a while.
She was arrested this week after her 9-month-old and 2-year-old were found alone in the apartment where she was being evicted from.
All right, this is the next video, and I'm going to let you guys listen to this. I'm going to try to adjust this volume so it's not too loud on you. Here we go.
Someone with CPS here tonight tells me that the baby and toddler are in foster care now and doing much better than they were last week when Houston police say someone discovered them all alone in a hot, filthy apartment. Their mother now charged with abandoning her children without intending to return.
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine.
Neighbors couldn't believe what this young mother is accused of and what the apartment manager discovered in Unit 111.
This is very sad.
According to court documents, 22-year-old Kerry Green was evicted from the apartment in March. But last week, when the manager at the Yorkshire Village Apartments was checking to make sure it was vacant, she found Green's 2 young children wrapped tightly in blankets in the same crib. The apartment was hot, police noted, with trash all over the floor. The 10-month-old girl was covered in vomit and dry mucus. The other child, a 2-year-old boy, was not responsive to voices or touch, and he, the officer wrote, was the same size as the much younger girl. And in the 2 hours police were on scene, they said Green never returned. Would you ever leave 2 young children like that alone?
Oh, no, nunca, never.
I got 2 boys. I would never do that.
The children were taken to the hospital. CPS confirms they are in foster care and doing well. They will not say whether the mother has contacted them. Houston police are looking for her. Neighbors are grateful the manager found the children in time and think Green should face some consequences.
You know, they're so defenseless. You know, they look up to you. They need you. She's a monster. She's a monster. She don't deserve to have no kids.
Jessica Willie, 13 Eyewitness News.
Now, I'm not trying to be the grammar Nazis or anything like that, but guys, we also got to do better to the Mexican lady that said that she's a monster. She's a monster. She don't deserve to have no kids. That's a double negative. That means you're saying that she deserves it. Sorry, look. No, I'm being the grammar Nazis right about now, but I hate it because my mom teaches me that kind of stuff. Don't have no is a double negative. Sorry, but I hate hearing it. So what she meant to say was she doesn't deserve to have any kids. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish telling you guys this story. So her bond was set at a combined $40,000. So she made her first court appearance, according to Harris County jail records. So $20,000 apiece, 40 grand, 10% of that is $4,000. So who's going to get a $4,000? I don't think anybody should. Matter of fact, I think that 40 should have turned into easily 3 times that. She should be in there for about 120. But anyway, she was also being held on a warrant for an older theft charge. So she already had a warrant for something else. And at that court hearing, Green told the judge that she's unemployed, which we already talked about, and that she's studying to become a nurse at Houston Community College, according to KHOU. She should not be allowed to go to school to be a nurse. Find something else to do. Be a construction worker. Right? A Child Protective Services hearing has been scheduled for May 7th. So that's actually tomorrow, Monday. So maybe we'll have to do an update to this story. So again, guys, my whole point, I think I've said everything that I wanted to say about this particular story. Let me check my notes. Let's see. I want to know, where's the father? She's got 2 kids. I'm assuming that she has 2 different fathers to these kids. That's usually the way it goes in the black community. So I'm wondering, where are they? Maybe you can't catch one, but you should be able to catch the other. There's a good chance that if she's collecting benefits from those children, they should be on paper, which means that they should not be that hard to find. So number 1, I feel like they should have tried to reach out to the fathers, or the fathers should have reached out to them and tried to take custody of their children. So to my fathers that are out there in the state of Texas, if you are hearing my voice, reach out to Child Protective Services and get custody of your kids. If you even give remotely close to a damn, go get your kids, bros. Step up. Do the right thing. Step up and do the right thing, because those kids need a parent, a responsible parent in their lives. You help bring them in this world. Now it's your responsibility to take care of them. She's clearly going to lose custody. And if you don't fight for custody, they might turn around and put them kids right back in her hands. And I you know, those kids don't seem like they deserve, like they're not going to have a chance to live. All right. Now, I also wonder, why isn't this an attempted murder charge and all other kinds of child endangerment charges? And again, she's only 22 years old. She's only 22 years old. It's just a shame, man, to just see that, you know, being bred with this type of mindset from a kid up until your teenage years is going to form who you're going to be as an adult. So again, I always say, if you want good adults, you have to have good children. Where's my sister Pandorians at? If you want good adults, you have to have good children. If you raise good children, there's a chance, a much better chance, that you will have good adults. You want responsible adults, you have to raise responsible children. All right? That's what I want to say, man. This is your boy DJ Just Jay. We're going to sign off right about there. We had about 320 people watching. I think that's pretty dope. We're not going to always hit 400 or 500 people, but nonetheless, I appreciate you guys for being here. If you guys want me to do more shows, let me know. We definitely got plenty more coming. 30 hertz straight.